So, with the Eastern faiths, the understanding of the ultimate, the absolute, is very different. And as a result, the understanding of the self is different. Okay, so with the Eastern faiths, the self is not so much regarded as a soul, although sometimes it's referred to as a soul, but more so, it's better thought of an essence or an impersonal essence. And a lot of people wonder, well, why is this, Mr. K? Why, with these Eastern faiths, is it not a soul but more so an essence? In Hinduism, which is the oldest faith, not only in the East, but it's the oldest, oldest continuously practiced major world religion that we know of, and it's the others here, Jainism as well as Sikhism and Buddhism, have spun out of Hinduism, because the absolute, the ultimate in Hinduism is not God, it's Brahman. Brahman. And a good way to understand this is that in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, no matter what you call God, whether you call God, Lord, Jehovah, Father, Allah, it's referred to as He, right? It gets a pronoun. But Brahman is not He. Brahman is an it. I know it's kind of a really interesting thought. And Brahman is like an oversoul for the entire universe. A good way to understand it is to imagine a balloon, right? So have a little imaginary balloon here, and then we blow the balloon up. I'm going to tie it real quick. Okay, so then here I have my balloon. Now you imagine the balloon as the universe. Okay? In the understandings of Hinduism, Brahman is not the balloon, nor inside the balloon. Brahman is outside. Right? It's kind of a universal soul or spirit, universal essence. Now, what's inside of each one of us, our essence, is actually a little piece, a little part of Brahman. And that's what's called Atman. Atman. And a lot of people call that the soul. It's better thought of as an essence because of the transmigration of the soul. Hinduism, as well as other Eastern faiths, believe in transmigration of the soul. And this is commonly called reincarnation. Now, a lot of people have the misunderstanding of reincarnation, and they think that you go from one life to the next, you carry with it all memories, all defining characteristics of your personality, all of your beliefs, and all of your knowledge, and that's not true. With transmigration of the soul, with reincarnation, what is reincarnated is the self, right? It's that essence. So that means when you're reincarnated, you're having to take algebra again. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Because that knowledge is not carried with you. So that's why things are a little bit different. Now, a lot of people, when they hear about reincarnation and some of these Eastern beliefs, they go, oh, I believe in that. And I say, well, do you go to church? Are you a Christian? And they go, yeah, I am. And it's like, got to blow the whistle, call time, penalty flag on you. Because these are differing belief systems. Jesus of Nazareth did not teach reincarnation, impersonal self, that the self is just an essence that's different beliefs. Okay? So, with these Eastern faiths, with Hinduism, there's countless lives that we go through, life after life after life. And what we want to happen is we want to be ultimately reunited with Brahman. And we'll talk more about that at the end of this chapter, the end slide. But with Buddhism, you might have noticed there's a little asterisk up there by Buddhism. It's a little bit different. The Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, did not believe, it'd be better to say that he really didn't care about Atman, about that idea of impersonal essence, because he said it really got in the way of his teachings. So then what he came up with was the term Anatman. He just put A-N, in his language of course, in front of Atman. And so what the Buddha did was really denied the existence of the absolute, the ultimate in each one of us, because it really didn't fit in with his teachings, which were to ignore all sense of self, all sense of ego. And that's just one of the things that kept us from reaching salvation through nirvana. And that's the teachings of the Buddha. So, what is the self again? Largely depends upon, where do you fit in? And the Western faiths, self is soul, but in the Eastern faiths, it's an impersonal essence. And that's because of Brahman is not God, not a he, it's an it. And then we have transmigration of the soul, which we commonly call reincarnation. Exactly right. Good. So now, the next slide, another of the miscellaneous doctrines that we have to address in this chapter is that of the problem of evil and suffering. People throughout history have acknowledged that the world is not a perfect place, and that at times it's really nasty. It's a really bad place. And likewise, there's some really bad people in it. And so, how could this be, especially if you're a monotheist and you believe in a loving God who cares for you? Well, then why does that loving, caring God allow things to happen? So, it's not just you and me who have wondered questions like this, but people throughout all of history have wondered questions like this, and this is where we get the term theodicy. And theodicy refers to those attempts by different religions to explain the existence of suffering and evil in light of a loving God. So that's what theodicies do. And the answers to theodicies are different, just like we saw with the question of self, if you're from a Western faith or if you're from an Eastern faith. So this lecture is hitting the 10-minute mark, so I'll see you in just a moment.